Hello viewers. In our presentation today from Frokil Show channel, we just want to highlight what in our presentation we are calling the elephant in the room. Why the elephant in the room? Way back in 2023, when the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms submitted its report to the President, one of the major recommendations that it put across was to create comprehensive schools. And the idea was that these comprehensive schools would include the lower primary and JSS, and then it would be put under one management. Then what happened thereafter? A few committees tried to implement the reports, and it was met with a lot of hesitation from the lawmakers, that is the parliament.
The glaring gaps in the implementation of reforms proposed for the education sector played out in Parliament last week, with members of Parliament raising questions over how the recommendations by the Professor Raphael Munavu-led task force were being implemented before coming to the House to be approved either as regulations or as substantial laws.
Not only is it a policy document that has not crystallized into law under Article 95, but they have purported to appoint an implementation committee which is implementing it already.
Nobody, no minister of government can purport to make law or do things that appear to be interpreted that they have made law, because they have no capacity to make any law.
As time went by, the Ministry of Education developed a bill, which is Basic Education Bill 2024. In that bill, it is also addressing the issue of comprehensive schools. Attempts of trying to bring it on were opposed by the Teachers Service Commission, which claimed that they are the ones who are allowed by the Constitution to manage the component of human resource, that is the teachers.
The House opting to halt the entire process of the implementation of the reforms and tasked the Ministry of Education to compile a report responding to the concerns raised. The stoppage of the implementation of the reforms came following a petition by the Teacher Service Commission, which in its presentations to Parliament had argued that by moving to implement the recommendation, the party proposes to take away key mandate and functions of the Commission underpinned by the Constitution through amendment of the statute law.
And so, coming up with comprehensive schools, the TSC has a mandate to determine who is supposed to work in as far as human resource is concerned. As if that was not enough, the teachers' unions came up. There is CUPET and there is NAT. According to CUPET, the idea is that JSS be domiciled in secondary schools. According to NAT, the idea is that JSS be domiciled in primary school. And if possible, the current primary school ends to be promoted to manage the schools because it demands more sacrifice and responsibility.
Of Kenya's education reforms has been thrown into fresh uncertainty after a standoff between the country's two biggest teachers' unions, NAT and CUPET, during President William Ruto's meeting with educators at State House.
At the heart of the clash was the contentious question of where junior schools should be domiciled, reigniting fierce debates over CBE's direction.
Ann Musungu with the latest.
This is the beauty of democracy. The standoff erupted between teacher unions, NAT and CUPET following President William Ruto's Saturday meeting with educators at State House. Tension flared after CUPET pushed for a review of junior schools placement, igniting fresh debate on the future structure of the competency-based curriculum.
This push and pull has led Frokil Show to conclude that the issue of comprehensive schools needs to be the elephant in the room. It is unfortunate that Frokil Show is presenting this, because what has led to this is the recent attempt by JSS teachers to move to courts to seek the interpretation of comprehensive schools. And some of these things, we already could guess what is likely to happen. The question we need to ask ourselves, even as JSS goes to court, is, do we have existence of comprehensive schools in our current law? And the answer is no. And if comprehensive schools are not entrenched in law, can we go ahead and implement anything on them? According to Frokil Show, who is one of the stakeholders, the answer again is no. When it comes to law, Frokil Show, he has some information from lawyers. We are not lawyers ourselves, but they tell us that the law has hierarchy. And what is the hierarchy of the law? We start from the Constitution, and we already have it. That is our Constitution 2010. If an act of parliament is being developed by the lawmakers, it cannot contravene the Constitution. It can only go through a referendum for that to happen. Then we come to policies, government policies and frameworks. Again, they are supposed to be in line with the Act of Parliament. So the Act of Parliament is superior than any guideline, than any policy or any strategic plan. So the problem which we are experiencing, the solution is not coming soon, unless an independent party comes in.
Our Council of Governors has rejected recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on Education, saying their input was omitted in the final report. Governors have further announced that they have withdrawn their participation, in which they were expected to implement the recommendations that were unveiled in State House last year. Governors who spoke in Nairobi accused the national government of seeking to take over the role of counties in early childhood development education.
We have collectively agreed to the following. Number one, the Council of Governors categorically does not agree and rejects the recommendations in entirety, to the extent that they undermine the basic structure and framework of the Constitution. Number two, the Council of Governors hereby withdraws its participation from any process that seeks to legislate the recommendations contained in the report.
We as a country and as the COG have made tremendous progress.
Because if you ask the Teacher Service Commission, they feel they have more say about comprehensive schools. The Ministry of Education says no. We even need to take more, and especially to do with the quality assurance. The component of quality assurance, this is checking the way the teachers are working and whether they are working effectively or not. We are finding again a tug of war between the Ministry of Education, Directorate of Basic Education, and the Teacher Service Commission. That means someone must come across and tell us, what are we supposed to do with comprehensive schools? January is coming. It is here with us. We have had a lot of issues to do with JSS, because this issue of comprehensive schools took too long to be resolved. And the confusion we find with JSS teachers can only be addressed if the comprehensive schools are properly outlined and placed in the law, so that we can now know that no other party will come claiming that they have more say on JSS than the other. Frokelshaw feels that the solution to this problem lies with the lawmakers, the members of parliament, and the Senate. They have an answer to this. Remember, we are living in the time of artificial intelligence. When you ask artificial intelligence, because you have assistants, you ask them where the problem is, definitely you see the answer. You will not even take many seconds before you know where the problem is. January 2026 is not very far, and this issue must be resolved once and for all. Efforts of parties going to court, for example, if the Teacher Service Commission goes to court, whose money is being used? This is taxpayers' money. If the Ministry of Education, Directorate of Basic Education goes to court, this is taxpayers' money. If the NAT and CUPET cannot agree, then it means we are likely to waste more time, because it's unfortunate it has happened that out of this confusion, we have not been able to meet the demands of the JSS learners effectively. We cannot bury our hands in the sand and say all is well. We know grade 9, they are doing the exam, and we wish them all the best, but more needs to be done. We cannot just stop at that. I also did indicate that most of the concepts that these grade 9 learners were supposed to learn were more or less what we are seeing in Form 2 work in high school, and especially for the case of mathematics. If the issue of comprehensive schools was addressed, the elephant can easily leave the room by addressing this. As to when it will be done, that cannot be decided by Frokelshaw. We are only informing you, but a problem lies come January. The other elements that we have seen that is also becoming a thorn in the flesh is the concept of whether we have JSS or we shall call it JS, whether we have senior school, junior school, whether we categorize these schools as triple pathway, double pathway, we still need some legal interpretation, because whenever people disagree, then we need to check what the law has. And of course, the law is there to protect the common mwananchi. We are hoping that a solution will be found soon. We shall continue keeping you informed. But as it stands, the issue of comprehensive schools remains an elephant in the room. In relation to addressing the problems of comprehensive schools, again, I made a video about the stakeholders. It is well elaborated by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. We have various stakeholders: Teacher Service Commission, unions or teachers' unions. We have parents or guardians. We have the learners themselves. We have teachers. It is a high time that these stakeholders rise and address the issues which are troubling our education system. Because we say nature upholds a vacuum. When education stakeholders are called, and you know you are one of them, you don't show up, then some other stakeholders, in quotes, who always are dressed smartly, in suits and tie, where they always attend any other amendment, discussion, or stakeholder forum, you find them there. But ask them, they'll tell you, we are stakeholders. That's why I took some time to explain to you that if you know you are a teacher, if you know you are a parent or guardian, if you know you are a learner, if you know you are a media professional, and if you know you're working with the Teacher Service Commission, Ministry of Education, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, all these are stakeholders and they have the answer to any problem which arises in the curriculum reforms that we are implementing in our country. If we want to mess our country, is to play around with education. And I would just finish by saying that at no time did curriculum reforms get connected to politics. Those who came up with Constitution 2010, they knew it was going beyond 5 years. It was for the future generations. Same case as to those who came up with the idea of changing the curriculum from 844 system to competency-based education. They knew it would go beyond 5 years. Let us not start thinking about curriculum reforms with the lens of politics, because this is where things will go wrong. We have talked about generations, Generation Z, Generation Alpha is behind, and once we are deciding these, we are planning for these generations. Let us prepare the future for them, which will also make our life easier when we grow old. Thank you so much.